So what's coming up in Rishi Sunak's spring budget of 2021? And will it be good news for UK property investors? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on exactly what Rishi Sunak has in store for us property people. If you're new to this channel, well, where have you been? Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon. We put out new content each and every week. It's all dedicated to keeping you informed and on top of your property investing game. My name is Ranjan Bhattacharya. I've been investing in property for 30 years. You may have seen me on the hit Sky TV show Property Elevator, or you may have attended one of our Baker Street Property Meet networking events in central London. So it's been an interesting year gripped by the coronavirus crisis. It's all got to be paid for somehow, and that's why we're all eagerly awaiting the spring budget of 2021, which is going to be on the 3rd of March. What will Rishi Sunak do? Is he going to clobber entrepreneurs? Is he going to clobber property people? Now, he's going to need property people and entrepreneurs to be on side in order to get us out of the economic mess that we're in. So coming up in this video, we're going to look at what Rishi Sunak has in store for us property entrepreneurs. We're going to look at 7 areas. In particular, number 1, stamp duty and land tax, what's happening there. We're going to look at what changes may be in store for general taxation, that's income tax, national insurance and VAT. We're going to look at what's happening with corporation tax, whether there are going to be any incentives to revitalise the flagging high street. We're going to look at business rates, the commercial rents moratorium, and also any changes to capital gains tax. So first off, let's look at SDLT, stamp duty and land tax. Of course, there is currently a holiday right now. Until 31st of March, on the first £500,000 of a housing purchase, you pay no stamp duty at all. Now, I talked about the effect this is having on the housing market in my last video. I'll put a link up here. But basically, transactions have gone up 16% as a result. So a quick summary of what the stamp duty holiday is all about. Well, it applies to the first £500,000 of a property purchase, which means that a home buyer will save a maximum of £15,000 in stamp duty, which is, of course, wonderful. It even benefits buy-to-let landlords who are buying properties, and if you buy properties in limited companies, but you will still have to pay the 3% additional surcharge. And of course, it only applies to residential properties and not mixed use or commercial properties. I don't think it'll do it, but I think there's a strong case for keeping or extending the stamp duty holiday. The economy is in a worse state now than it was when this holiday was first announced. And as we come out of lockdown, the economy is going to need all the help it can get. And when there are an increase in housing transactions, what that means is it has a multiplier effect on the whole economy, because more pounds get spent in the economy. When people move house, you've got moving vans, you've got all the associated trades when people want to kind of do up their house. You've got all the sort of furniture sales and ancillary services and all of that. So whenever someone moves home, it always has a multiplier effect in terms of many goods and services being bought in the general economy. And that's what we need as we come out of lockdown. What we don't need is an abrupt end to the stamp duty holiday, a cliff edge moment, if you like. Because remember, a lot of people have brought forward their housing purchases so that they can benefit from this stamp duty holiday. So that means there will be a slight fall in housing transactions, in housing sales, in the couple of months after March the 31st. And that won't be good news, because of course that is exactly the time when we're going to need the economy to be active to get us out of the mess that we're in right now. Well, that's the logic, but since when are budgets and governments that logical? I'm not sure whether they will extend this stamp duty holiday. I think they will take the view that the vaccine rollout program is well underway and the stamp duty holiday did its job. So my prediction for the budget of 3rd of March is that stamp duty holiday won't be extended. I don't think he will allow a complete cliff edge. My bet is that I wouldn't be surprised if he said that for all housing transactions which were started before the budget date, i.e. March the 3rd, he will allow those to benefit from the stamp duty holiday as long as they complete within a few months. That's my prediction. That will mean that there isn't this mad rush at the end of March to get transactions over the line. And it will mean that if people have exchanged contracts and they're in a chain and they're waiting for ongoing sales and things, they won't be penalised by that 31st of March cliff edge date. So that's my prediction. What do you think? Stick your comments and views down in the comments below. If you're enjoying this video, like it, make sure you subscribe as well and hit that bell icon. Now on to general taxation, that is income tax, national insurance and VAT. In the last election, the Tory party went to the public and basically said in their manifesto that they would not raise these three taxes. So my bet is the government will be scrabbling around for other people to tax, namely business owners and property people. But here's the thing, he can't go overboard with this. At the end of the day, no amount of government borrowing and money printing can get us out of the economic mess we're in right now. It is entrepreneurs and business people who put their capital at risk to generate wealth, to generate jobs, and who generate the government tax receipts to keep the whole show on the road. So my prediction on general taxation is, don't expect any rises or changes to income tax, national insurance or VAT, but do expect some sneaky taxes such as rises in fuel duty, perhaps extra taxes on pension contributions or decreasing of limits and that kind of thing. So what do you guys think? Are they going to put up any general taxation? Let me know in the comments below. So corporation tax then, this is the tax on businesses. So we went into the Brexit debate with this vision of the UK becoming Singapore on the Thames. Well, that certainly won't happen if corporation taxes rise too much. The UK's corporation tax regime is at the moment very competitive, and it needs to stay that way to encourage businesses to get on and trade our way out of this mess. So it's simply not the right time. The government should want business people to focus their energies on getting out there and being entrepreneurial and making their businesses generate wealth and therefore pay tax receipts. It's not the right time for increasing corporation taxes and basically turning business owners' focus on clever ways of legally avoiding and lowering corporation tax instead of taking entrepreneurial risk and endeavour. The big problem with corporation tax right now is that it's mainly the small, medium enterprises that actually pay the bulk of it. The big guys are structured in clever ways using offshore setups and the like and end up paying very, very little UK corporation tax in proportion to their global or UK earnings. So increases to corporation tax really affect small-time business owners, company directors, and their livelihoods. When I first started out in business, there used to be two thresholds of corporation tax. If your company's made under £300,000, then you would pay a lower rate of corporation tax and a higher rate of corporation tax on profits above that £300,000 threshold. I would be shocked if there was any dramatic rise in corporation tax without reintroducing some kind of threshold system. The Institute of Public Policy Research said that 500,000 UK businesses will collapse if the economy does not open by spring. To me, that says now is really not the time to consider corporation tax increases. So my prediction on corporation tax, we might see a token gesture of maybe a 1% rise. But particularly with Brexit just behind us and the desperate need to recover from this coronavirus mess, now's definitely not the right time for anything dramatic. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with me or do you think I'm talking baloney? Leave your comments below. Revitalising the UK high street. Now the high streets have been devastated by coronavirus. It's really brought to a head trends which were happening anyway. But here's the thing. You can tax online retailers as much as you like, but that ain't going to bring back the old department stores, the Debenhams and all of that. Those are relics of a bygone age. What we will need is further relaxations of planning and permitted development so that these buildings which are defunct can easily be repurposed to other economically valuable uses. Now, in previous budgets in recent years, it's been very, very common for the Chancellor to tag on planning reforms and permitted development announcements to the back of a budget. Now, Rishi Sunak, let's face it, doesn't have much good news to announce in this budget, but some major initiative to help revitalise the UK high street through relaxation of planning and more PD might give that budget some zing. Now, we have already had a comprehensive change to the commercial property usage class orders, and this was brought in, of course, in September 2020. I did a whole video on the E-class usage class. I'll put a link up here. Now, then before Christmas, the government announced a consultation paper on how these Class E commercial properties could be converted to residential use. And that was big, big news. Now, it's a consultation paper, yes, but they have to bring in what these permitted development rights will be before July the 31st, because on that date, many of the old permitted development rights will expire and they will need to be replaced by something. So my prediction is that chancellors do love to tag on planning and permitted development announcements to the back of budgets. And since he doesn't have much good news to announce in this budget, it will be a real zinger if he announces his Class E permitted development rights for the conversion of defunct properties into residential use in this budget. So watch out for that. What do you think? Are you expecting permitted development announcements on the back of the budget, or do you think I haven't got a clue? Let me know in the comments below, and if you haven't already done so, do like this video. Business rates. Well, business rates is the subject of another cliff hedge moment, because the current business rates holiday actually ends in April. Now, of course, reform to the business rates regime has been required for ages, but I'm not convinced Rishi Sunak will tackle this old chestnut in this budget. I think this is the can Rishi will choose to kick down the road. So my prediction on business rates. Well, as long as the economy is shut, I believe he will extend the business rates holiday to match the period where the economy is effectively shut down. What do you think he'll do on business rates? What do you think needs to be done on business rates? Let me know in the comments below. Commercial rents and a moratorium on evictions. So April is not just a cliff edge where businesses will have to pay business rates again, but it's also the time when the moratorium against evictions for non-paying commercial tenants actually ends. Now, Rishi Sunak will probably extend this deadline too. After all, it costs him bugger all. It's the landlords who pick up the bill. But what is really getting the goat of some landlords is how some very well capitalized companies are really playing the system to the detriment of smaller landlords. You know who you are. I'm talking about the likes of Boots, JD Sports and Cafe Nero, to name but a few. My view is that commercial landlords don't want to pay for rich, well-capitalized tenants who know the system, or to prop up zombie businesses with business models which were fit for a bygone era. As consumer needs change and evolve, the makeup of retail stores on the high street also needs to evolve, which is why the new Class E usage class is so wonderful. And that's because it gives commercial landlords much greater flexibility in repurposing commercial properties for other commercial uses. If you have a shop which is currently trading as a newsagent and a restaurant wants to occupy it instead, then you can actually rent it out to the restaurant without having to apply to the local planning authority for change of use. It is far better that our high street shops are occupied by strong businesses rather than zombie businesses with failed business models propped up through a commercial rent moratorium system. I'm a big believer that the free market should be left to decide. If the government wants to step in and give some subsidies, they can do so, but that shouldn't be something that landlords are forced to do. My prediction on the commercial rent moratorium thing is that I think he's going to extend it again. I think he'll extend it again pretty much in line with the business rates holiday until such time that the economy is reopened. So have you been affected by the commercial rents moratorium? Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure you like this video. There's certainly been a lot written about the dreaded capital gains tax. A lot of this has been because of a discussion document, if you like, put out by a left-leaning think tank. And what they're basically saying is that taxes on capital gains tax should be equalized with taxes on income, like from a job, i.e. income tax. But I don't think they're going to do that right now, for all the reasons that I've stated earlier in the video. I think it's a possibility later on, but certainly not in this budget. I think chancellors have a knack of trailing a lot of bad possible scenarios in the run-up to a budget, so that when the budget is actually announced, it doesn't seem that bad. There is a reason why capital gains tax is lower than income tax, and it should be. If you have a job and you're earning £50,000 a year, say, you earn that £50,000 a year regardless of how the company is doing. If the company then goes into loss and faces bankruptcy, no one comes after the employee for to claw back their back paychecks to help shore up those losses. But when a business owner puts their capital on the line, they're putting everything on the line. And there is a huge underlying risk there of losing everything. That is why the taxation of risking capital needs to be different to taxes on regular income to reflect the fact the risk is completely different. So my prediction on capital gains tax is not this time. And now's not the time to clobber wealth creators and business owners with rises to capital gains tax. If they go too far down that road, then the people who would pay capital gains tax can easily relocate to other countries who treat them better. But with capital gains tax, I'm saying not now. I'm not really saying not ever. I wouldn't be surprised if this resurfaces when the economy is a little bit more back on its feet. And that's why you have a couple of years, if you like, to get some tax planning out the way to make sure your affairs are properly structured. If you have property which is unincorporated, you may want to think about bringing forward plans to incorporate those properties into a limited company. We've done some videos. I'll put links up here. So I think the CGT rise thing was just a bit of scaremongering. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. So that's it. We haven't got long to find out what Rishi Sunak really actually does. These are just my views. I don't really have a Scooby-Doo. I'm just some random guy on YouTube sharing my thoughts about what the budget may bring for us property investors. In summary, I don't think it's going to clobber us wealth creators. It's not the right time for that. He needs to encourage us to do business. And I'll also be expecting some exciting announcements on permitted development, in particular Class E and conversion to residential use of those properties. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is some great first-time buyer initiative to encourage first-time buyers with low deposits, which they can use not just for new build property, but for second-hand property too. This was in the election manifesto. I wouldn't be surprised if something comes out at this time. But once the economy does recover in a couple of years' time, that's when we may be clobbered. That's it for this video. To make sure you don't get clobbered, make sure you've subscribed and hit the bell icon. See you guys in the next video.